Let's talk about the guys you've signed. I know JMU Nation was awfully excited over the weekend to see a couple of different national writers or folks who cover basketball talking about where this senior or where this recruiting class could go. That it was really starting to develop and going to be a strong one. Of the guys you've signed, there's some transfers in there. I know the NCAA set to vote, I think, this coming week on whether they can move one time without restriction, without having to sit out a year. What's your feeling on that vote? And just sort of give us an overview of the guys that you're bringing in. How many of them do you think you'll have available this year?
Yeah, so we've signed four players that are Division I transfers that are coming from four-year schools. And right now, you mentioned the rule that the NCAA could adapt a rule that says you get a one-time transfer where you can go without sitting out. My gut is that's not going to pass this year. I think it will pass, but it's not going to be this year. So that kind of takes that off the board. But there's still avenues and options to get players immediately eligible. And one thing is, there's different types of waivers. There's a waiver called a hardship waiver. There's a waiver called a runoff waiver. And we feel confident that multiple guys of those four guys are going to be eligible right away with the research we've done, the communication we've done, and everything else. It's not going to be a thing that we're going to have an answer to this week or next week. It's a process you have to go through, but we feel confident no matter what that some of those guys are going to be eligible next year. And then, we mix those in with three high school players I think are really, really talented guys. One player is just not completely done, but want to be a top 15 player in the state of Georgia. Another player, his dad played in the NBA, and he's a very talented combo guard in Terrell Strickland. And then I think we're going to have, probably one of the, if not the best athlete or one of the best athletes in the league in Justin Amati from down in South Carolina. He's going to be a tremendous player. And then another guy we know is definitely eligible is Rashawn Fredericks, who's a grad transfer. He went to Cincinnati. We actually tried to recruit him beforehand. We had a previous relationship, and he went to Cincinnati over us. And then Cincinnati's coach left to go to UCLA, and with the coaching change, he decided to change and sat out this past year at UAB, and then they had a coaching change. And so he wanted some familiarity. He kind of kept eyeing our program and our style, and always, even though he was somewhere else, I always thought that was going to be good for him. And so Rashad Fredericks is going to be a really good player. So it gives us a veteran guy too. He played at Cincinnati. He was on a top 20 team in the country there. He played there, got experience, and but he'll have a much larger role for us.
I've had folks ask me about the number of guards you have on the team. It's a pretty guard-centric team, and I've heard you sort of speak or at least reference the style of play, not necessarily maybe positionless, but to that at least analogy. Talk about what you see yourself doing with this roster that you'll have next year.
Well, one thing is, so there's a style that I want to play, but then I'm not so rigid that we can't do something else as well. And the coach in Division I basketball with the most wins is Mike Krzyzewski, and if you kind of watch the history of Duke basketball, they were this aggressive man-to-man defensive team. And then you turn them on a couple of years ago, and all they're doing is playing zone the entire time. So, and then we're recruiting. So you have to evolve. And I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to make things plug things in that don't fit. Now, I do think a lot of things that we want to do are going to fit. So, offensively, we're going to play fast. I want to push the pace with guys. We're going to play what you call positionless basketball. We need multiple guys to basically have point guard abilities and multiple guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot in the fundamentals of the game. And, we're going to shoot threes. We're going to try to get easy baskets. We're going to share the ball. We're going to play the right way. A lot of stuff that we do is a spacing game that you're going to see familiar with an NBA or European style basketball. So we're going to make sure that we implement a lot of those things, but also, we're going to get the best guys on the court. And that's one thing I like about our style, that we don't have to. I could play multiple point guards together. I could play multiple bigs together. I love wings that can dribble the ball, guys that are 6'3" to 6'7" that can dribble, pass, and shoot. So There is going to be a lot of things that we just got to kind of get together and see how they mesh, and we'll have to make adjustments and evolve, just like I said. But I do know this. I like the fact that I think we've upped our talent, and there's going to be a lot of talent on the roster.
That touches on the offensive side of things. What was your message to your recruits about defense? Because I do recall in your initial teleconference, the opening press conference that you had to have due to the coronavirus, that you really put an emphasis on defense. So what has your message been to the guys you're bringing in about what your expectations are, how they're going to defend?
Well, Dave, you don't talk to recruits about defense or you won't get them. 90% of the conversation recruiting is about offense. But I've been talking a lot to our current players about defense, and kind of what we've been doing as a basketball program. We did a Zoom meeting with all our guys yesterday, and it was about our offensive concepts, our offensive language, and what we're doing there. Next week, we're doing that on a defensive scale. And and my staff and I, we've watched a ton of tape here lately, kind of jotting things down, the plan going defensively. We're going to make major strides on defense. Some of it is some personnel. Some of it's going to be schematic stuff. And I really think what we can do is, last year we finished 10th in the league, and if we want to make sure that we're jumping towards the top, it's going to be on the defensive end. And that's going to be our fastest improvement. Our practices will be dedicated mainly towards defense, especially early on, to kind of get that message across. But you don't do that, recruits are looking somewhere else.
When you look at the talent that you've brought in, did this talent impact other guys signing? What I mean is they see what you're starting to put together with the style of players you're developing, the style of play that you're talking about. They go, I want to be a part of that because it seems you're assembling a really good basketball team. So did one recruit maybe impact another recruit?
Well, yeah, yes and no. I think one thing that we look for in a staff was players that had a similar motivation and mindset. And if you look at things on paper, and the people that are negatively recruiting us are saying, why are you going to James Madison? They finished last and they won 2 league games last year. Well, we wanted the recruits and the guys coming in here to be like, well, that's the reason I'm coming in to change that. And, I want to win. I want to build something. And that matches with the guys that are returning here that I think have the same mentality, is they want to win desperately. And they're really committed to doing what they have to win. They didn't come to James Madison to lose either. And so everybody knows that there's going to have to be some changes made, but the motivation and the mindset of the returning guys coming in and the recruits all fits. So when guys start seeing one guy coming after another, I don't think that really impacted them in that way. But I do think that one thing that we looked for, and then kind of, we're doing our research, it's a shared mentality of building this thing up the right way.
Let's move on to your schedule. We know you're going to host UVA. We know that Longwood and St. Mary's are also coming to the Atlantic Union Bank Center. We know you're going to Georgia Tech. That's about all we know other than who you'll be playing on the conference side of things. So what can you tell us about where you are in putting a schedule together with so much still being sort of up in the air right now?
Yeah, so I can tell you, normally I usually don't finish my schedule until August. And we're all but done. And we just got to wait on some contracts to get finished and get some things done. But I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll release our schedule, which is probably the earliest that I've ever been a part of. So we'll get that out there. And I'm glad we're going to release it early, because I want the fans to be able to see who's coming and playing in the new arena. It's going to be a special place. I know a lot of people on campus right now are working towards creating that special environment that's going to be in there. And there's going to be some really good non-conference games in that arena. Virginia's coming there. And right now, since we didn't finish the season last year, they're still the defending national champions. So I think that's special. We are going to play at Georgia Tech. And it's going to be a heck of a week. We're going to have an ACC week where we play 2 teams in the ACC in the same week, and the other ones will come out. But I think the fans will be extremely excited. I'm a little nervous because I looked at last year's schedule, and the team played I think 3 total games in quad 1 and quad 2 games, 3 total, and I think we're probably going to have 7 to 10 of those games. So it's going to be a challenging schedule, which I love. It's going to make us grow up faster. It's going to make us stronger. And the guys on the team love it too. So there's going to be some challenging games, both home and on the road.